It didn't take long for him to hear about that either.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
I'm sorry. Ms. Beebe? Ms. Beebe is present. Ms. Bofi?
Here.
Ms. Bofi's present. Ms. Bradford?
Here.
Ms. Bradford is present. Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Mr. Guillo?
Present.
Mr. Guillo is present. Ms. Hill? Present. Ms. Hill is present. Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Lee is present. Dr. Moranti?
Present.
Dr. Moranti is present. Ms. Orange Jones? Ms. Orange Jones is not in attendance. Mr. Romer?
Here.
Mr. Romer is present. Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Lakeisha McKinney? McKinney is present. You have a quorum.
Okay, our consent agenda is ready. We are adding items 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5 in pooling item 2.1.
Can I get a motion? I move. And is there a second?
Good.
So I have a motion by Dr. Beebe, a second by Mr. Romer.
You already read it.
Is there any objections?
The next item is on page 1, item 2.1, consideration of revisions to Bulletin 746, Louisiana Standards for State Certification of School Personnel regarding endorsements to existing teacher certificates. The the recommendation is to refer.
Okay, so who was the first? Okay, so Ms. Bradford and then Mr. Romer is the second, and then discussion. Ms. Beebe?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Bovee. And I just need clarification on this item. If you recall, during our last meeting, there was the contentious debate, if you will, regarding providers outside of universities. And the reason I bring this up, I noticed that there were grant awards, Louisiana Believe and Prepare Awards, and I'm questioning whether this aligns to the policy proposal that we were going to have further discussions.
Those are separate items. This is not that item. That item is coming up later. They're totally disconnected. We just deferred because what I had said at the last meeting is that we would bring you a proposal only when we had districts who would come and request the proposal in front of you. As the June meeting is at the end of the school year and thus they're not in school, we just thought it better to have it in June than in April.
Okay, and I can appreciate what you're saying,
Thank you.
Superintendent White. So could you clarify what these grant awards do? I mean, what are they to address? Are these school districts not providing endorsements? Are they not going to be the provider to give endorsements, to award endorsements to teachers? Am I confusing the?
The Believe and Prepare proposal does not have to do with endorsements. No.
Well, according to the email that was forwarded, it deals with preparing the next generation of teachers. So I was with the understanding because of the discussion last month that we needed to bring in those school districts that were a part of these grant proposals. Mm-hmm. So what is different now? I hear what you're saying, but...
What I would request is that we speak about Believe and Prepare when that item comes up on the agenda. I'm happy to detail it. This is an item, let's just take that and put it to the side. This is an item that is about whether or not a school system can grant endorsements and not just a provider or an alternative provider, can grant endorsements and not just a university. This item, this policy question, we have tabled from the last meeting, and we tabled it under the idea that the Lafourche school system is the one that recommended it. They should come and discuss it with the board, but given that it's the middle of the school year, rather than have them drive a couple of hours up here, it'd be better just to wait until the June meeting to have them come and discuss it. You're right that there is, sort of a common principle, I suppose, but they really don't have anything to do with one another. The Believe and Prepare grants. I'm happy to discuss that but I prefer that we wait until the proper item is on the agenda.
But
They literally are not connected to one another.
But Superintendent White, I recall the discussion during our last meeting, and you made reference to the school systems and the need for you to bring them to this board to present information.
Right.
Now, I will take your word that the Believe and Prepare award does not conflict with the lack of action from the part of this board, because it was my understanding, or it is my understanding, that we're getting the part before the course.
So here's how I can provide you assurance. This is a policy about endorsement, which is a credential, as you know from being the personnel director,
Yes.
that one earns once one already has a certificate. Believe and Prepare is a pilot grant program about people who do not yet have their certificates. So they're totally different policies. You're right, they happen to have an element of a principle or a philosophy in common. But on this item, which is a policy question, I would just ask that we wait until the June meeting when LaFouche will come. On the Believe and Prepare item, which is in the Finance Committee, because it's an allocation, I would ask that we just discuss it at that time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And I have some public comment on this one. The first one we'll hear from is Candace Watsey, who passes. Ms. Lee Barrios. Thank you very much. Is there any objection? What's our next item?
Page 2, item 2.2, consideration of revisions to Bulletin 746, Louisiana Standards for State Certification of School Personnel, to reflect new praxis exams required for Louisiana licensure. The recommendation is to approve as a notice of intent.
Is there a motion to approve? Dr. Moranti, a second. Mr. Guido? Is there any discussion on this item? Yes, Mr. Lee.
I can't tell, looking at this, what the cutoff scores were. See what the recommended score is, and then I see what Louisiana's recommended score, but I can't tell what it is now. I'm wondering, are we increasing, decreasing, staying the same?
So my understanding is some of these are new tests, but we can get the department to answer the question for us.
Some of them might be new tests.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, which new test you are referring to, Mr. Lee?
I don't know which ones are new tests and which ones are not, but I can't tell if we're increasing the requirements or decreasing the requirements or keeping them about the same.
And I'm being told from staff that they're all tests.
These are new tests, and we're establishing new levels because they're new tests, and we're just putting it into policy.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on this one? There are not any comment cards? Yes, Ms. Hill?
For me, instead of answering the question, maybe Superintendent White can expound, because that's the question that I have. Are we increasing the scores, or decreasing the scores, or just staying the same? And is the test equivalent to what they currently have now, or is it more rigorous, or could you expound, please?
These are new tests,
Okay.
and thus the level required to pass them is new.
Okay, so they're new tests, so compared to the current test that is in place, are they aligned equally, or is it much more rigorous, or is it?
I'd say it's comparable.
Okay, and so with the scores are the same, or are we increasing the scores because of the new test, or are we decreasing?
The scores that are required to pass are of equal difficulty to the scores that are required on the other tests.
Can we also assume that this is it's recommended by ETS?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be about the national average?
It's the same as most other states. They tend to adopt that.
Yeah.
And most states have the recommended score. Every 5 years, they create a new test. They run a study to see, okay, is this a reasonable level to expect? people pass it, and we tend to adopt the recommended passing average.
Is there any opposition? Oh, yes, Dr. Moranti.
Superintendent, I know that we approved the household exam before. Is that why it's not listed? Or have I missed it?
There are a whole host of other tests
Okay.
that are not here that we operate for other subjects.
Is there any opposition to this? No opposed? Next item.
Page 95, item 3.6, consideration of record review regarding the issuance of a Louisiana teaching certificate appropriate to the credentials of Ms. Carrie McDonald. The recommendation is to either grant or deny.
So this individual is here, and I'd like to give her an opportunity to speak, but we will need to hear a motion in order to get started with that discussion. And so,
I'll make a recommendation to grant.
okay, so we have a recommendation to grant from Mr. Dio, a second by Ms. Bradford.
I apologize. Can you clarify what page we're on?
Go to page 95. Now, board members, do you have specific questions for Ms. McDonald, or would you just like for me to give her an opportunity to speak? Okay, I think that you're saying you want to give her an opportunity to speak. Ms. McDonald?
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for having me here today to consider my documents and my request. I believe that Mrs. Davis has put together a complete packet for you. If you have any questions for me from that packet, perhaps that would be the most expedient. I am prepared for any questions that you may have.
So I have a question. You had a very high recommendation from the assistant dean of a university. What do you think led to such a strong positive recommendation from this individual?
Multiple factors. Good one-on-one relationship with the university and the person, and a number of personnel from the university. I went into the university and with this person as an open book, stating, this is who I am, this is what I would like to do, this is my challenge. I will do whatever it takes to become a teacher. I have a great deal of help and support from the university that made all the difference in the world.
Thank you. Board members, does anyone else have questions?
I move, what's our options here? Are we granting certificate? What are our options, ma'am?
Ms. Davis?
You have a motion right now for a grant, but you must either grant or deny. You have to take one or the other.
I'll make a motion to grant. I appreciate you being here today. I know it's difficult.
We have that on the floor already, so I appreciate knowing what your vote's going to be, Mr. Roman.
Well, that was a motion he made.
Any other discussion from board members? Is there any opposition to the motion to grant? We have opposition noted. Do we need to take that as a roll call?
No, just note that I'm.
Okay, we have one person opposed. Motion passes. Next item. That concludes our agenda. Who's leading the next meeting?
5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes before the next meeting starts.